Alright, here we go. Through my first time watching the series, I'm not gonna lie, Donnie was definitely my favorite. He's so charming and odd in his own sense, yet it felt like I could connect with him overall the best. Now, I think I'm more like Leo after doing these analysis videos, but I still have a lot on my mind because of Donnie's character in general. Before watching any TMNT, Donnie was the character that I thought looked the least interesting, at least with no experience from it all, because he was dubbed as the smart one, and since he was the smart one, that seemed uninteresting to me. Now that I've watched 2 different iterations of TMNT all the way through, I've realized that I honestly love Donnie in both of those versions. The Rise of the TMNT Donnie being one of my favorite characters ever. I wasn't really expecting this to happen since it's been a while since a show has made me feel or care so much about its characters. Anyway, let's get back to Donnie. In Rise, Donnie is very sarcastic and can oftentimes come off as speaking in a flat manner. He's confident in himself and likes to flaunt his hobbies to his brothers, or use them to be able to be useful to the team. Throughout the series, we see him go through the issues of understanding emotions as a whole, and how to deal with them, whether they are resonating from him or the others around him. From what I've seen, Donnie's love language is the opposite of Mikey's. Whereas Mikey is a lot more touchy and will cling to his brothers, Donnie doesn't necessarily enjoy touching, unless in certain circumstances. I find this interesting since, in my opinion, these two seem to be the closest to each other. In fact, there are several times where Mikey will cling to Donnie or just be close to Donnie. In some cases, he doesn't appreciate it and will push him away, but in other cases, Donnie will allow it to happen. I've also seen Donnie give Mikey head pats as a way to reciprocate Mikey's love language without full-on hugging, which is kind of adorable to me. Another important part of his love language, in my opinion, is noticing the fact that he's a gift giver. The first time we see this is in Donnie's gifts, which although seems like he's trying to fix his brothers, I believe it's more of him seeing flaws in them and trying to make them better so that they can stay safe. Except for Leo, who just annoys him. Anyway, we see this a lot throughout the series because he likes to surprise his brothers with gifts or inventions as a way to prove he cares about them without being all huggy all the time and constantly spouting out that he loves them. This is a love style that I personally relate to a lot, since it makes me happy to give someone a gift. Also, hugging 24/7 is overrated. Donnie also really looks up to Splinter. No duh, you may be saying. And to that I say, fair enough. But I felt like it was worth mentioning. Something I noticed whilst watching through the series was the fact that Donnie tends to pick up things from Splinter. He copies him without realizing it. For example, throughout the episode Late Feet, Donnie continuously says the phrase, "New York, what a town." And that alone doesn't mean too much, but I did end up catching something I didn't notice before. In the episode Shadow of Evil, when Splinter goes up to the surface to investigate the Foot Shack, he gets splashed and says, "New York, what a town," which is really interesting to me. Was this something that Splinter said a lot, or at least said once, that Donnie ended up picking up on? I'm not sure, but it seems highly likely. For my second example, in the episode Breaking Purple, Donnie ends up getting angry at Sheldon and yells at him. Mikey points out how Donnie looks exactly like Splinter when he's yelling at Sheldon, which shows that Donnie is similar to Splinter in that sense. He picked up his parenting style from Splinter despite loathing the way that he parented, as we can see by his reaction to the comparison. While on the subject of Splinter, I want to bring up the fact that Donnie yearns for his attention. Since I don't have much information on their childhood, I can't be for certain, but when looking at how Donnie acts overall, I can make a guess on the situation. Donnie brings up the fact that he wishes for the approval of a parental figure multiple times in the series. The first I can recall being when Big Mama compliments his tech. That's why he's so desperate to get his father's approval in Turtle Dega? Question mark? The Ballad of Ratman. That's why he's so upset when his father lied to him. His father just wanted to go there to relive his golden days once more, and Donnie just happened to have a tank. He didn't want to hang out with him. That's how it felt when he found out, at least. Donnie wants positive reinforcement to know what he is doing is useful. Because he has to be useful. Otherwise, why would they even need him? Oh yeah, I'm sure if you've watched the series, you know what I'm segueing into here. Segue. Donnie versus Witchtown. This episode. God, I wish this episode had stuck with what they had in their original storyboards. But it is what it is. Okay, let's start this off. During this episode, Donnie hears that April is going to get help with her science project from a bunch of mystic witches. Which upsets him since he's literally the science guy. So why wouldn't she just ask him for help? Instead of just expressing how he feels right away, kind of like what Mikey was trying to teach him in Breaking Purple, he tags along with April for the whole day, and he's just kind of a butt about it the whole time. He wants to prove that science is better, which in turn upsets April because she was just trying to understand something different, or try something different than usual. This is just the one thing that he can't let go. When April finally snaps at him and asks why he cares so much, he replies with, "Because I'm the science guy. If mystic powers can do everything I can do but better, then why would you guys even need me?" Now, this is the official version that came out in the episode, but in a scrapped version of the storyboarded animatics, it goes a little differently in the same direction. Because I'm the science guy. Solving problems with my tech is all I'm good for. But when you chose magic instead of me, I got scared. Because if mystic powers can do everything I do but better, then would you guys even need me? God damn, that hurts. Now, I'm not entirely sure on the situation of the studio or why this got scrapped or edited, but I feel like this was just such a raw emotional leakage from Donnie that could have been brought up. Here's a guy who's very uncomfortable with emotions and doesn't know how to talk about them in general, spilling his guts out to a friend. He's scared that the only reason he has any use to his brothers or to others is if he gives them something in return. That's why he's always gift-giving and always striving to up himself from before. He wants to make sure that he's still useful to the team. Because without his tech, who is he? I think this shows so much character development from him dealing with Sheldon, and I really wish it had been explored a little more, or had the time to. It'd be funny if I weren't furious at Nick. Okay. Now, I'm sure a lot of people are itching for this to be brought up, since it's one of the coolest things about Rise, Donnie, at least in my opinion. Donnie is canonically autistic. And I love that. I love it so much because without knowing what that looks like yourself, or being on the spectrum yourself, it's easy to miss. I love the fact that this doesn't become a part of his character. He's his own character with his own flaws and emotions and reactions to things. And he just happens to be autistic. He's living his life and he's cared about by his brothers as well. This does, however, put into the light some of the things that he does, or feels, or doesn't feel. The first thing I want to bring up is his lack of empathy. Donnie reminds me a lot of myself in that sense, and I want to make it clear that it took me a while to register and figure out why. I know that no one is necessarily saying this, but this is more for myself than anything else. Donnie is seen to not have emotions, which is not the case at all. He feels emotions and they affect him as well. He just doesn't know how to show it as well as his brothers do. This is something that is a little frustrating to me since I see him dubbed as emotionless more times than not, when I have seen him act emotional multiple times throughout the series. Even if it wasn't extreme, it was still there and it was still very present. So why can't others pick up on this? Oh, I see. Yeah, this is something that I've debated putting in this video or not. I think I'm going to. The reason I felt so connected to Donnie the first time watching this series was because I was able to realize something that had been gnawing at me for a while. I think I may be somewhere on the spectrum. Now, I'm not trying to claim that I know for sure, or I'm just saying it to connect with a favorite character. I haven't been diagnosed and am too scared of how my family might react if I did so. But the feeling has always been there, gnawing at the back of my mind since some of the things I do or react to aren't considered normal. The main one that I want to connect with is the sensory overload, or sensitivity. It's shown multiple times in the show that Donnie is very sensitive when it comes to his senses overall. Touch doesn't bother me as much, but certain sounds can stop me from functioning correctly, to the point where it makes me physically sick. Another point I want to bring up is in the episode The Purple Game, where Donnie gets hyperfixated on his game, and does so much that it begins to hurt his brothers unintentionally. I myself have this issue, where everything becomes lesser to this hyperfixation. You love it so much that you get tunnel vision to the point where it's unhealthy. I was actually afraid to begin playing the new Pokemon game, in fear of me doing that again, because it gets to the point where you will push important things aside to keep this happiness going. You avoid the ones you love and miss out on time you would usually spend with them, or doing something that's important to you. This is actually something that I wish the series had spent a little more time on. This is probably just a personal gripe, especially considering how the series doesn't try to tell Donnie he's a bad person for these things, which I really appreciate. But it can still hurt those around you. His brothers like hanging out with him, and an event that they had been planning for a while, he just missed. He missed it just to play the game. To me, it's scary how much a hyperfixation can take over your life. Then they end the episode with Donnie just starting the cycle over again. The others never got the chance to talk to Donnie about it, and they never got to resolve the conflict. I don't know, I guess this just upsets me in a way. Donnie is such a phenomenal character, and honestly, in my opinion, got a lot more attention than some of the other brothers. The creators took the idea of being the smart one and blew it up in our faces. They gave us this wonderful character who has his own flaws and emotions. He has troubles with communicating with his loved ones, but he still cares about them more than anything. I'm not gonna lie, Donnie was the reason I started watching Rise of the TMNT, because I thought it was so cool that there was representation in the media. I wasn't expecting to fall in love with his character, or this show for that matter. That just shows how much love and care the creators put into their characters, and how much they wanted to tell their story to the world. And I'm so glad that Donnie got the chance to shine. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and just to let you know, I do have plans for future videos, but I would love some suggestions on what you would like to see in the future. This concludes the Four Brothers analysis, to which I can say I am a little sad about, but I do have a much bigger video planned. An analysis/review of Rise of the TMNT, the series as a whole, which will probably contain the movie ? I'm not entirely sure how long that will take, as I haven't started on it yet, but I do plan to have more character analysis in the meantime. Hopefully I'll be able to do Pink Diamond from Steven Universe or Glimmer from She-Ra. I haven't decided yet, but with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and I hope to see you all in the next video.